A lasting commitment. When revelation yet eluded, and in the dark we knew not how to see, did come Tian, and with her great gift began the fire that burns relentlessly. Behold our souls, ambition's flame ignite, lights in the dark, lights in the dark. Behold our souls, ambition's flame ignite, lights in the dark, lights in the dark. Overview. In the winter of 387 YE, the Highborn Assembly declared their highest calling to be the grand inspiration of the way. The great project begun in summer 385 YE is well underway, and with renewed focus, the people of Highguard have begun to lay the foundations for how the grand edifice may be laid out. Now, in the beginning of 388 YE, the Ambition Assembly have joined them with a sense of urgency, not just to complete the largest commission the Empire has ever attempted, but to do so by the end of the year. Just the idea of declaring something to be your highest calling seems to embrace the virtue of ambition, but even so, this is an extraordinary thing to attempt. There is still a vast amount of work to be done, but if the Assembly can achieve the impossible, it will have a dramatic effect. Mean what you say. The Assembly of Ambition has stated that their highest calling is to complete the grand inspiration of the way in the space of a single year. If the Assembly can put their reputation on the line to commit themselves to this impossible task, then they will reap the benefits. Completing the grand inspiration of the way is a lofty goal, but nothing is beyond the grasp of the virtuous. The hallowing of the patron drives us to silence naysayers, and what better way than to complete this inspiration project within the year? It will draw the eyes of the world to us, establishing Bastion as the heart of the way. From there our faith will spread across the globe. This is our highest calling. Raphael Barossa, Ambition Assembly. Spring 388 YE. Vote upheld with a greater majority, 392 votes for, 82 votes against. Inspired by the words of Raphael Barossa de Apulian, the Ambition Assembly have invoked the hallowing of the patron, a call to silence naysayers of any who might say that the grand inspiration cannot be completed at all, let alone within the year. Unlike the nation of Highguard, however, there is little for the Assembly to sell off in exchange for new sources of precious white granite. Any additional efforts to complete the grand inspiration will rely on the resources of those who attend Anvil. The best way to silence naysayers, of course, is to stand steadfast in your convictions and prove them wrong. If the Ambition Assembly are truly confident that the grand inspiration will be complete within the year, then putting their reputation on the line will reap the benefits. There is no price for failure. It is a fundamental tenet of ambition that it is better, by far, to try and fail than fail to try. But if they manage it, if the grand inspiration is completed by the start of 389 YE, then the achievement will inspire the faithful. The Assembly can use a mandate to spread word of their highest calling to every corner of the Empire. We shall ignite a flame to illuminate the second age of virtue. We send named priest with 50 doses of Liao to spread the word of the grand opening ceremony to take place as 388 turns to 389. Let the whole Empire know that the hour is at hand. Synod Mandate, Ambition Assembly. If this mandate is enacted, then followers of ambition will spread the news of the imminent completion of the grand inspiration across the Empire. They will ensure that everyone knows that the great project will be completed by the start of the spring equinox 389 YE. All eyes will be on the construction in Bastion, waiting to see if the Highborn and the followers of ambition can achieve this extraordinary feat. If that happens, and the grand inspiration is completed by the start of 389 YE, then it will spread a powerful confidence through the faithful, creating an opportunity for members of the Assembly to see other great ambitions fulfilled. Say what you mean. The Highborn Assembly have begun the hard work of defining how the grand inspiration will be laid out. After declaring the grand inspiration to be their highest calling, the Highborn Assembly have begun the hard work of deciding how the grand inspiration will be laid out. The construction is vast, far and away the biggest commission ever created in the Empire, larger even than the Great Walls of Hallberg. But size is not the only way to inspire the faithful. The way the grand inspiration is arranged and decorated will ultimately be more important than the construction itself. Voices of Virtue. The Highborn Assembly have called for the offices of the Voices of Virtue to occupy the central space in the grand inspiration. Creating ornate gardens for each voice of virtue would provide them with 5 liao a season. It would allow each voice to choose the single most important statement of principle passed during their term to be recorded for posterity. High-born benefactors offer to provide the Guildmaster of the Artisans with 4 thrones a season if he will arrange for a suitable magical item to be made for each voice after they are elected. The Highborn Assembly invite the Voices of Virtue assemblies to be the first to take up offices in the grand inspiration of the way, because they and the edifice are united in our will to spread the way to all sapient people. Rinna, Highborn Assembly, Spring 388YE, vote 304, 10 against. While Rinna's statement failed to achieve a greater majority, it was the only one that suggested how the halls of the grand inspiration may be fitted out. With the urging of the Ambition Assembly that speed matters, the Wayfarers of Highgard insist that there should be some place for the Voices of Virtue to preach to those who come to the Grand Inspiration, seeking their benedictions. A set of 7 beautiful gardens is proposed where the gathered can contemplate their sermons and take time to meditate on their chosen path. The increased prominence of the Voices would mean that they would receive an additional income of 5 liao. In addition, there would be a library set up for the Voices to record important statements, and particularly elegant quotes and sayings to be recorded for posterity. The Annals of Virtue would be housed in the Grand Inspiration to record select statements of principle whose perspicacity and wisdom moved them beyond the day-to-day business of the Synod. In the final season of their term, the Voice could choose a single statement of principle that their assembly passed in the previous year, since they were elected. This should be a statement, either part of the wording or all of it, that cut to the core of their virtue, that they believe future priests would do well to consider and debate with their colleagues. That statement will be recorded in the Annals of Virtue, along with up to 100 words of commentary by the Voice on the importance of the teaching. If the Voice does not deem a statement worthy, they may wish to not submit one rather than to diminish the whole with an unworthy part. Finally, there is a question of finding a way to provide the Voices with suitable regalia. A number of highborn benefactors are keen that they should have some suitable symbol of their office or position, an item that can help them with their duties. Unable to agree what form such regalia should take, they decide to write to the Guildmaster of the Artisans, Xanathus Stormsend, and make a public offer of a regular income of 4 thrones a season if they will undertake to ensure that each voice is provided with a suitable crafted magical item. The hope is that the Guildmaster will arrange to speak with each voice after they are elected, to agree with them what magical item they would like to have made. If the Guildmaster wishes to accept the offer, then he can collect the first payment of 4 thrones from the head of the civil service, Leonardo y del Toro y Riqueza. 4, not 40. The Highborn Assembly has called for residentiary canons, elected by each National Assembly, to sit in the Grand Inspiration. Nations could instead choose to copy the Highborn tradition of having a speaker for each assembly. The Way and the Empire are not a monolith, but a mosaic construct of profound and beautiful traditions, human and orc, united nonetheless by faith, synod, and doctrine. The life and worship of the greatest monument must reflect this, and celebrate this diversity in order to truly uplift every soul in the Empire. Therefore, we look to the Senate to ensure that the completed Grand Inspiration is governed by a college of residentiary canons, one elected by each National Assembly and led by a dean chosen by the Assembly of 9, who will together be charged with this sacred task. Let us show that the past, present, and future of the Way is here in the 10 proud nations of the Empire who stand together in virtue. Nicodemus of Balthazar's Vineyard, Highborn Assembly, Spring 388YE, vote, upheld with a greater majority, 442 votes for, 62 votes against. Nicodemus of Balthazar's Vineyard has raised a statement in the Highborn Assembly calling for residentiary canons, one to be elected by each National Assembly. No such canons exist at the moment, so the Senate would need to create the titles. But if that happened, then a place could be made for them in the Grand Inspiration. The statement does raise questions in some quarters. With cardinals, champions, voices, and inquisitors already, is there truly a need for additional round of titles? At what point do titles without practical legal powers disincentivize the impetus for individuals to take it upon themselves to further the cause, as surely the titled person will do it? One possible alternative might be to embrace Nicodemus's role as Speaker of the Highborn Assembly. Besides Highguard, there are 4 other nations with an existing title, whose responsibilities include guiding their national assembly and ensuring their nation's traditions are upheld. Each title is unique, reflecting the nation's pride and priorities. The existing titles are Archbishop of Cappadomus, Herald of the Throne of Glory, Speaker of the Crows, Speaker of the Highborn Assembly, Voice of Barbs. Given these 5 titles exist and their responsibilities seem to parallel those identified in the statement, would they not be the natural choice to take up residency in the Grand Inspiration? Creating offices for the 10 speakers would enhance their prestige and give them a place to stay and work when visiting the Grand Inspiration. Of course, there are only 5 at present, but the Highborn Assembly could prepare chambers for each of them and set aside space for the other 5 nations to occupy if they create a similar position with the responsibilities to chair their National Assembly and champion their nation's traditions. Such a step would still require the Senate to create the titles in question, but it would mean each nation could create their own position when they were ready to act, rather than have the Senate try and create a canon for each nation. In addition, sinecures could be built in each nation that would provide these additional titles with the kind of support that the Speaker of the Highborn National Assembly currently receives. Language beyond words. The Highborn Assembly could enact a mandate encouraging cantors to support the Grand Inspiration of the Way. If that happens, the commission could be amended to incorporate a chorister's balcony into the edifice. Doing so would make a new Highborn archetype, the cantor, available to players. The Highborn are known for their musical traditions. The voices of their cantors have carried battle anthems across every corner of the Empire, its words sown into the very earth itself. The ineffable power of a host of choristers singing their songs of virtue, using music to speak the truth and joy of salvation, to stir the heart in harmony that mere language by itself finds insufficient. Too long, some say, have the virtue and evangelism of those whose voices can ignite faith in the hearts of others in this way been overlooked. Those who spread salvation with the inspirational beauty and power of their voices must come forth to take their rightful place in the Grand Inspiration. We send named priest with 50 doses of liao to encourage the cantors of our nation to congregate and sing the songs their souls yearn to share, that all may hear them and know their destiny. Synod Mandate, Highguard National Assembly. If this mandate is enacted, choristers who use the numinous power of music to inspire and uplift the virtuous will attend the Grand Inspiration in Bastion. Those who inspire the faithful through majestic voices united in concert will come to witness the construction of the great edifice and lend the power of their voices to raise the spirits of those who work there. If that happens, the Imperial Senate could use a Senate motion to amend the Grand Inspiration of the Way to incorporate an impressive chorister's balcony to allow singers to perform from. The balcony would include a hymnal library to keep records of the most inspiring music from across the whole empire. Highborn choristers would attend the Grand Inspiration to sing with their fellow devotees, filling the great cathedral with mellifluous voices. By putting the choral tradition of the Highborn at the centre of the Grand Inspiration, the important role of the cantor would be promoted across the nation. The cantor tradition would be reinvigorated. Not just musicians and choristers, but all those who create stirring works to inspire others. Architects who build grand edifices, craftspeople who make stained glass windows or weave enormous tapestries, and other artists who produce works on a grand scale. Out of character note, the cantor archetype, one who employs the musical traditions of the Highborn to spread the way, would be available to players.